I was really good at memorizing and coming up with the answers. And so people would ask questions like, aha, I know that question. I've thought about that. Here's the answer. Boom. And it didn't work.
So, Randy, I read your book, Questioning Evangelism, twice, and engaging with Jewish. I'm engaging with Jewish people, I think twice as well. I loved them.
Did you not understand them the first time? Did you? It's kind of a dense book. I'm sorry.
I'm a slow reader.
Oh, okay.
I'm a slow reader, and information doesn't stay in my mind very long unless I'm a repetitive. I need repetition. So I read them twice, and I'd read them again, and I would recommend anybody reading them. What was life-changing for me regarding my approach to those that wish to challenge my Jewish faith in Jesus was how to answer questions. And as soon as I started doing that using the methods in your book, I soon realized how those that challenged me hardly had any answers for their own beliefs. I mean, I was really surprised. I'd heard answers like, well, go ask the rabbis, or I don't have enough knowledge to answer your questions. I heard that one a lot, but I know for sure that you're wrong about Jesus. I heard that one. I think that's the most commonly used one. I don't have enough information to answer your question, but I know for sure you're wrong. How are you inspired to write Questioning Evangelism and develop this style of conversation when sharing your faith about Jesus?
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's very encouraging to me. By the way, Questioning Evangelism is coming out in a few months, maybe in October, in a third edition. We kind of updated it a little bit. We kind of updated some illustrations. So I'm very excited that the publisher wanted to do that.
I'll have to read that twice.
Well, the way the book came about was out of frustration. I had been trained a lot in. Since becoming a believer and now being involved in ministry, I was in campus ministry. What I had been trained in is, all right, and figure out what are the common questions that people are going to ask, and then what are the answers. And it was kind of like a matching test. If they asked question number 3, well, then you gave them answer number 3. And I was really good at memorizing and coming up with the answers. And so people would ask questions like, aha, I know that question. I've thought about that. Here's the answer. Boom. And it didn't work. I didn't see people go, oh, thank you. You've changed my life. I'm going to be a believer. And I would come away frustrated with, okay, no, I know that was the right answer. It was a philosophically solid, biblically supported answer, but it didn't move people from unbelief to belief. In fact, sometimes it backfired. It only hardened them in their unbelief. And it would like leave some people who are like, well, yeah, maybe that's a good answer, but I still think you're an idiot. So I needed, I don't know, a different approach. And so 2 things. I studied about how Jesus interacted with people. And it was so much more of a back and forth dialogue rather than just a, here's the answer. And I was also struck with how very often he didn't answer people's questions, at least not right away. He answered a question with a question. Right. And at first that didn't strike me as all that odd, because that's very Jewish. That's how we Jews talk to each other, you know. So how's the weather? How could the weather be today? It's July. You know, how's your family? Why do you ask? I mean, you know, they're like we just so but I started looking about how Jesus responded to people's questions. They would say things like, is it okay for us to heal on the Sabbath? Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath? And Jesus didn't just deliver the answer. He asked the question, well, if you had an animal that fell into the ditch, wouldn't you pull it out? Or is it okay for us to get a divorce? He said, well, what did Moses write? And so much of the time he answered a question with a question. And I started experimenting with that with students. They would ask questions and I would answer with a question answered with a question. And it just became a much better, more productive conversation. Instead of it, see, when you, well, here, let me, like, what happens when I ask a question? Don't you start, you start trying to answer it. You start trying to mull over ideas, or it engages you in the answering process. what happened before is people would ask a question and they would kind of stand, at an arm's length. Let me watch you kind of come up with that.
Let me watch you fumble.
Yeah. Let's see how well you do at this one. But if you answer a question with a question, they start wrestling with, well, now, wait a minute, what is that? And I also had to try to mix it with asking God to work in me so that I really cared about people and that I really respected them. I wasn't just trying to come up with the right answer, which is how I think I had done it for a very long time. And it was almost like a gotcha. See, I got the right answer. Aha, you can't refute me, can you? Well, that's not treating a person as a person. That's just treating them as a
means to an end,
question asking machine to be responded to.
Sure.
So it was better to, Lord, would you help me engage with this person, love them, respect them? And so, if they would ask a question of, like, why do you believe the Bible? Well, how much of it have you already read? And what have you found? And are there some things in there that seem to point in the direction that, this really has some authority to it? So again, you're engaging them in the answering process, not because you're trying to win, but because you're trying to lead them out of darkness into light.
Yeah. And you also discover whether or not the question that they're asking is actually the real question. Because sometimes people will ask questions and that's not really their question.
Yes.
They're trying to get you, they're trying to trap you, they're trying to get you to sound ignorant or foolish or something. And so by asking and engaging with questions, you discover what their real question is.
Yes. And boy, did Yeshua ever do that masterfully.
Right.
I mean, there were times when he knew, okay, this isn't a real question. They're just trying to trap me. And so he would answer a question with a question of, well, let me ask you a question. And and it would reveal that, they're just trying to trap me. And so sometimes we need that kind of wisdom. Again, we need to do it gently, but if someone's being a fool, we need to answer a fool as their folly deserves, lest they be wise in their own eyes. That's what Proverbs 26:4-5 says. So we need wisdom, again, not to win, but to help them get out of the imprisonment, really, of their unbelief or their insincerity.
Right. Good point. I just want to restate that anybody that hasn't read Randy's books, Questioning Evangelism and Engaging with Jewish People, look, we're all Jewish here. This is a Jewish YouTube channel. Randy's Jewish. I'm Jewish. We're all Jewish here. This is within the family. So it's not like we're Christians, trying to trap Jews and steal them from Judaism. We are Jewish people that have found the Jewish Messiah. And so I just want to recommend Randy's books, Questioning Evangelism, Engaging with Jewish People, and all his other books as well. They're fascinating to anybody that's watching. So thank you for that, Randy. In our next episode, Randy Newman will be sharing with us his advice to those that are curious but hesitant to investigate the New Testament and the claims that Jesus made about himself. You can find information about Randy Newman and his books down in the description. If you'd like more of this kind of content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the Jews for Jesus YouTube channel. And feel free to visit our website at jewsforjesus.org and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.